Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas, repping number 52 of the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis.
And as always, on the other half, Brendan, repping 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a pretty good episode for you guys today, so hopefully you stick with us. Obviously, we are going to talk breaking news in the NFL. We also have some breaking news in the NHL, the Hockey League, that we're going to talk about, dissect, cry over, whatever. We'll get there when we get there. We're going to talk both AFC and NFC championship games. Brendan's got some Seahawks news. I got some Ravens news. And we're just going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants today. So
Sounds like a
stick
plan.
with us and hopefully it'll be good.
All right. Well, starting off on the breaking news, the Jacksonville Jaguars have found their head coach. They hired Liam Cohen, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. This comes after firing Trent Baalke, so clearly that was something that Liam Cohen wanted, as did most of the coaching candidates that were going to Jacksonville. So they made that move and then immediately hired him. So he's got the job.
Yeah,
So,
I know when they first interviewed him, he was kind of him and Ben Johnson were the leading candidates. And then when they wouldn't fire Bulky, obviously Johnson took the Bears job and Liam Cohen said, okay, fine, I'll stay with the Bucks.
and then
Fired Bulky, and then Liam Cohen was like, all right, I'm back in. Hired him. Not shocked. You know, I get not wanting to work with Bulky and not wanting to have that be tied to your
resume.
future. But you and I have had kind of strong opinions on Trevor Lawrence and what this team can actually do. So good luck to Liam. I'm not sure.
You know, he did.
In theory, you have a good enough roster. Like, you've revived Baker's career.
You were there. Well,
You've helped. You've been
yeah,
part of that.
you were part of it.
So we'll
Kind of,
see. You know,
yeah,
it's not a very hard division. Like
yeah.
outside of the Texans.
If you can coach up Trevor Lawrence to be who we thought
Yeah,
he was, then the Jags are right there for that division. So it's. I wouldn't say it's a bad hire. I wouldn't say it's a good hire.
yeah.
We'll
I
see
don't
what.
think it's.
It's one of those that's kind of going to be judged once it kicks off and gets underway for him.
Yeah,
Um, so we'll see what happens there with that. The Raiders have also found their head coach. They're turning to Pete Carroll, the legendary head coach, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks. He's getting another coaching job with the Raiders. Um, back to the oldest head coach in the league by quite a wide margin. Should be good for the Raiders to have a very experienced guy and a guy like that with the energy and what he brings to that organization should be pretty solid considering there's not a ton of hope there currently.
I very much think he's meant to be a bridge guy.
100%. This is not a
With
long-term
Yeah, with
solution.
Brady kind of in charge of the Raiders right now, I think he picked someone that knows how to set a culture, how to set a standard.
And how to set a
Um,
staff. I
yeah,
think that's the important thing.
and probably set someone up to take over in a couple of years while they figure out a quarterback situation.
Yeah, and that's really the thing is it's a experienced guy that can build one hell of a culture
Yeah,
and can set your franchise up for success down the road. But he is just going to be a
he's a bridge guy.
bridge.
Did you see his opening press conference?
I did indeed. I thought that was
Marshawn Lynch made his legendary appearance. I thought that was fantastic.
it was it was. Love Marshawn Lynch. Uh, he's
Crosby seemed less than thrilled.
I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I
He's
don't know that like he was it just look
He
like he would rather be literally anywhere else. So
that's just Crosby, period, though.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that it like is a sign of anything. I do worry.
I mean, you brought it up, therefore you mean that means that you think that it's something.
So I'm getting to that. I do worry that it's not that he's a bridge guy. And I think we saw this last year with Garrett and we're starting to see it with Max of they're at that point in their career where they want to win. And I think the thought is we're not in the position to do that. And I don't know that hiring Pete, I think long term for the franchise is good,
I mean,
but it doesn't make you feel like you're set to win now.
it makes you more set to win now than I think hiring a younger coach would be. But without a quarterback on that roster,
No, and I agree with that.
I
I
don't
just
think
think that's
no
the
hire
current feel.
no hire would make you feel like you were going to win now. I think again, a guy like Pete Carroll increases those odds more than a guy like Liam Cohen would go into the same
That's fair.
situation. So again, it's a 4 year or 3 year deal with a fourth year team option. I don't
I
think he
doubt it.
makes it to that fourth year.
I doubt it.
I do see him playing out the three because the Raiders are paying like 3 head coaches right now. I
Yeah,
think actually 4, unless
it's
Gruden's
four.
contract is up. I don't remember how long his
I don't
contract
think
was.
so. I don't
So
think so.
they might be paying 4 head coaches right now. So I
Yeah, that's a lot.
assume
That's a lot of.
he'll make it through the 3 years guaranteed, but we'll see what happens.
This is a total, by the way, not relevant to anything. Have our names always been in our boxes?
No,
Okay, cool, cool.
it's turned off on my
Um,
end.
gotcha. I thought it was. I don't know. I don't know. It's. Oh, I know why. Okay, I was hovered on the camera thing. I got it. Figured it out.
Yeah, on my end, it's not. So I can
Um,
enable it. I just chose not to.
no, that's there. Oh, now it's there. Nope, it's gone.
Okay,
Yeah, it's because I was hovered on the camera thing. Okay.
that's
Anyway,
that's good.
um, yeah, I don't think it's a bad hire. It just he seemed less than enthusiastic. But I'm not sure it's about Pete Carroll and more about just where this franchise is at right
Because
now.
yeah, where that franchise is at, it's not even close. In my opinion, like
So,
they have a lot of work to do, and
and
unfortunately,
I
they're in a
think
position to not do the biggest thing they need
no,
to.
you
Uh,
have to. You need a quarterback,
so we'll see what bridge
and it
guy they
doesn't even
decide to
matter.
sign.
It doesn't even matter. You could go get a quarterback and you get bounced in the fucking playoffs. So it's like you're relevant to shit.
Fair enough, yeah. That's
So who cares? Nobody else is winning.
yeah. All right, and then one more coaching hire. The Dallas Cowboys have hired Brian Schottenheimer, their offensive coordinator, to the head coaching role. Um, Former Seahawks offensive coordinator with Pete Carroll. So another Seahawks guy getting hired. It was a choice, I guess. Not a great one, but it was a choice.
I I I would like Jerry Jones to define all in for me and for the public. I just would like him to create a definition so we can all understand what he means by it. This is a guy that's been on your staff. He doesn't call plays. That was McCarthy's job.
Yep.
Um, I'm not sure how he's gonna really change a culture. He's not a players guy. Um, I'm just confused. Out of all the options you had,
Yeah, no, it's
like, okay,
definitely.
I didn't think the Dion thing was gonna happen,
Yeah,
but like,
that was an
if
option.
you were gonna stick with this situation, why wouldn't you stick with the play caller that got the absolute most out of Dak Prescott?
Um,
Like,
it's
how did we go from that
to this.
to his assistant who didn't do a whole ton.
Um, yeah, no, it's definitely
I feel like while they are the most valuable, they have somehow become the most irrelevant franchise
oh yeah,
with this move. You have a no-name head coach,
like
a middle to mid top tier quarterback,
a top wide
like
receiver
and a top edge rusher. And that's pretty much it.
and a psychotic owner, GM.
Yeah. And you're in a difficult division, like you don't run away with your division ever. Like what's the plan here?
He's praying
I'm
that
sure financially it was a great decision. I'm sure Brian Schottenheimer was very fucking cheap.
yeah, his hope and pray it's not gonna happen is that Schottenheimer's like the next Campbell, Dan Campbell,
Yeah,
because
I know who you meant.
Dan Campbell didn't call plays, wasn't a wasn't even a coordinator when he was hired as the head coach. Was just a guy on a staff. I think he was a tight ends coach when he was hired. That's what you're hoping for. You're not
But
gonna get it.
he was a player's coach.
He
He's
was
a personality.
yeah.
He has an energy. I watched Schottenheimer's opening press conference. That is not what they are getting.
I watched Schottenheimer for 3 years in Seattle. I think that's right.
Yeah,
Wasn't terrible. Did get the best season out of Russell Wilson
yeah.
before defenses figured out how to play against his offense, and then it all went to shit really quickly. Because at one point that season, Russell Wilson was the front runner for MVP, and then at the midpoint of the season, defenses went to that too high safety and
And there it went.
figured it out. So good luck with the plan, Dallas.
I don't know what the plan is. I don't I don't think there is a plan. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
No, they have a plan, and the plan was to hire Brian Schottenheimer. So
I,
that's
I
that.
get no part of me believes that no part of me believes that was plan A through like C or D. Like that was we fucked ourselves and have no other
So
option.
let's try this.
Yeah. Like that was fuck, we fired or we got rid of McCarthy too late, so we couldn't hire anybody else. Dion either wanted too much control or too much money.
Or didn't want to
So,
go.
yeah, fuck it, I guess. We decided not to go with Kellen Moore, which is the same thing basically. Was an offensive coordinator
Yeah,
that didn't call plays on your staff. Um,
which
so I don't
speaking of like
know.
head coaching jobs, there's only one left, and it's the New Orleans Saints. And currently,
How the fuck do they not have a head coach yet?
because there's only two people that they're interviewing at this point, everyone else has pulled their name out, and it's Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy are the like only two left, unless you just hired Darren Rizzi.
As as both of them, I would run. As the Saints, I'd probably go McCarthy.
I'd probably go with McCarthy because he's got the experience.
Yeah.
I understand the thought of maybe saying fuck it on a Kellen Moore because he's cheap, so not a whole ton against the cap, and he's an unproven product. So
Does Kellen Moore count against the cap? Your head coach doesn't count.
I mean, it's how much you're paying, but
Yeah.
no, it doesn't count against the cap, but
I was
against
like, now you
your
confused me. You use the word cap. I'm all thrown
I'm
off.
sorry, against your
Um,
budget, he would be
yeah.
cheap when you're already paying a
The
lot.
thing, I guess, for me, if I was gonna take the risk with an like kind of a coordinator guy, I think I'd want like a young like I want to know who my quarterback is gonna be.
That's
They have
fair.
massive questions at that position. So I would prefer the experience in McCarthy with the play call, just knowing how to kind of assess all of that to pick a
That's
quarterback.
fair, and that's not terrible. So I do think that's a option.
That's insane, though. The fact that they don't have one yet is psychotic.
I mean, to be fair, last go around it was the same thing. The only reason this go around is different is you had the Lions get eliminated early, and then like because last go around the Seahawks didn't even have a head coach at this point. They didn't hire one until
Yeah,
after the
because the
Super Bowl
Ravens were still in it.
because the Ravens were still in it, the Lions were still
But
in
that's
it,
like kind of my thing is like who like I figured after this weekend the Saints would have picked one.
and then like Kingsbury's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
Joe Brady's obviously not.
the only name that the Saints could be waiting on, and I don't know if he would take the job, is Spagnola. It's like the only name on those two staffs, and Kellen Moore. But
Yeah. I
and I would understand them going with Spag because he's just such a great defensive coordinator. But I don't know if he's going to
Look,
want to go anywhere.
I don't think Spag wants to go anywhere.
And that's yeah,
And would you? I mean, honestly.
no, fuck that. I mean, you're probably the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league, or one of.
And
So fuck it.
you're getting rings, like you're making a name for yourself. Fuck it.
Until the Chiefs start losing, I
We
would
cracked
just
the code to Josh Allen's stupid quarterback sneak that we're going to talk about, but fuck
well,
it.
did they?
People are talking more about you.
Did they?
Yes.
Did
Yes.
they? Did they?
Yes. Yes.
Um, that was a first down, but we'll get to that later.
So we'll talk about that later. They didn't do it just that one time. They did it several times throughout that game.
And it looked like it succeeded most of the time.
No, they stuffed him a couple times.
A couple, okay.
His
Um,
flying over the middle was insane. That was crazy. I got scared for him. I'm gonna be honest with you.
he's proven he can take it, so
Yeah, I just don't love like when any player comes down on their head.
that's fair.
Like I watched Peyton Manning snap his neck. As fun as that was, like
That was yeah,
so it's hard to watch.
fair enough. And then
But yeah, I just don't understand how the Saints don't have a head coach yet. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what you're waiting on.
Either
Build a
they're
staff, bro.
either they're waiting on Kellen Moore or they're waiting for McCarthy to say yes. That's where they're at. Those are their
I'd go
options.
with McCarthy.
If McCarthy says no, they're fucked. They're
Oh my
fucked.
god. Oh my god.
Um, and then one last bit of football breaking news. For now, the New York Jets hire their GM. It is Broncos assistant GM Darren Mogi, however you
We
pronounce his name.
apologize.
Um, don't know how to pronounce it. Never really heard of you. So,
Yeah.
does have a
I
pretty good
mean,
track record of coaches
yeah.
he's worked for. Um, so has been with the Broncos. It looks like for a very long time. Um, so we'll see what happens there. But
They've had good teams. They've always been good at drafting. Like
other
they
than
haven't had a ton of
quarterback,
cap space. Well, I don't blame him for that.
so yeah, we will kind of see what he does with the Jets. Obviously, they get him and Aaron Glenn this
Mhm.
go around, so hopefully it's better than the last regime.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they do with Aaron Rodgers
Aaron
and
Rodgers.
that whole situation.
I very much appreciate how he approached all of his press conferences this weekend or this week and last week.
Aaron Glenn, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to talk. I don't know. I have to look at all the film. I need to evaluate all of the players, this staff, and I need to figure out what our trajectory is and what the plan is. So you can ask. Not going to tell you what I don't know.
My answer is
So,
we'll see.
and I respect that. He's like, I don't know. He's like, we'll see. He's like, I'm evaluating everything. I'm
Because
trying to create a winning franchise.
don't get me wrong, he's not a good person. He's not the bridge quarterback I would personally want.
No,
But there's not another quarterback on that roster that's good.
no.
And you don't have a high enough draft pick this year. So rolling with Aaron Rodgers is not necessarily the worst idea ever. You're already paying him.
Yeah.
Like, you could
It
just accept what it
for
is.
me it would kind of come down to like key guys in the locker room.
That I
Like if I felt
for
like Aaron was toxic to the locker room, I'd bounce.
that's what I mean though, is if the locker room's fine, then keep it. Like,
Then just leave it.
because you're not finding much right now. Like,
Or
there are better options, but
get a better draft pick for next year.
yeah. Or Aaron Rodgers figures it out. I
Yeah,
doubt that
so
happens,
that's
but that is a
an option.
technically a possible option. So it's an interesting one. It's definitely
Yeah.
a. We'll see what happens there with that whole situation.
I I'm excited for him. Um Woody came out and said that he had to look in the mirror and he knows he hasn't been doing a great job and he needs to be better, and how he's let his sons be a part of the franchise and things like that. So that'll be interesting to see if this franchise actually has the ability to grow. Um, that would be crazy. So
You'll see.
we'll see. But given that he's one of the
Who
first owners
knows?
ever to come out and be like, you know what, I'm a train wreck and I can work on that, is that's crazy.
That is improvement.
Hmm.
Some would say. Um,
You have to act on it, but
you know, it's a start.
yeah.
There I do realize there were two things I did kind of forget to mention. One of them I wasn't too worried. The San Francisco 49ers did name Robert Saleh as their new defensive coordinator.
Oh yeah.
He was with the team prior. The Jets hired him from San Francisco as their defensive coordinator. So he just returns back to be their defensive coordinator. And then we'll get to the Seahawks a little later, but they did hire Clint Kubiak as their OC. But we'll talk more about that in depth when we get to the Seahawks. And then our last piece of breaking news, we're actually going to bounce to the NHL, the National Hockey League, for a blockbuster trade. One of the biggest in-season trades to ever happen. Period. It's kind of crazy. Um, we'll get to the part that we care about last, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about there. But we'll start off with who's involved. It was the uh, Carolina Hurricanes, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll start with the Chicago Blackhawks side because they get two things, and really only one of them matters. They are getting a 2025 third round pick. It is their own that they traded to Carolina. I don't know what trade that was a part of, but that pick was traded to Carolina. Carolina has now traded it back to them, so that is a early third round pick because the Chicago Blackhawks suck. So they get their own third round pick back, and then they are retaining 50% of Mikko Rantanen's contract. So obviously he is a part of this trade. So we'll get to that in a second. To Carolina, they are getting Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall is being sent to them by the Blackhawks for that 2025 third round pick. So to the Canes is Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall, and then to the Avalanche is Marty Necas, Jack Drury, a 2025 second round pick, and a 2026 fourth round pick. Those are both Carolina's picks. Everything they got there is from Carolina for Mikko Rantanen. So that is the full trade. Starting with the Blackhawks, you got your own third round pick back.
Yeah.
You were wildly uninvolved in this trade. You pretty much were just there to make the salaries work. So congrats. It's not the worst thing you've done. You also got rid of Taylor Hall, but it's Taylor Hall. He used to be good, not
Yeah.
really anymore.
Hasn't been for a long time. So
Yeah, I think won the MVP in 2018 and really hasn't been that good since. So depth guy.
yeah.
You got a third round pick. Go you. Do Do you want to start with the Avalanche or Carolina? How do you want to? Or does it matter?
I want to cry. That's what I want to
All
do.
right, fair enough. So we'll start with the Avs. Just get the what they got in return real quick. Marty Necas, a point per game player, having a career year right now. Pretty solid piece to play alongside Nathan MacKinnon. They get Jack Drury, a bottom six forward. For those of you that don't know, in hockey, there are forward lines of forwards. When you say bottom six, it's the bottom two lines, so the lines they play the least. That's how that works. He's a bottom six center, really good at faceoffs. The Avs that needed that. The
Mhm.
Avalanche kind of suck at that.
Yeah, it's not
That's a
their strong
problem.
suit. It's not their
And
strong suit.
then the two picks are probably just going to get traded because the Avs always say fuck them picks.
We traded our overtime winner for a face-off guy. That's what we did, guys. That's what happened.
Plus more.
That's what happened. Well,
And then Carolina gets Mikko Rantanen, the best player in the trade, and Taylor Hall, who we already kind of discussed as a
he's just there.
yeah. So Mikko Rantanen, probably top 10 player in the NHL right now. Could be higher depending on how you rank it. But
And what you find important.
widely considered amongst that group in the top 10. From the Hurricanes' perspective, this is a pretty solid trade. Obviously, you're getting a superstar and a former superstar that can still help you out in the long run. Mikko Rantanen has been great in playoff runs for the Avalanche. Has more points than MacKinnon in a point per game basis in the playoffs by like point something. It's like point
Yeah.
2. It's not a lot. Um, so you're getting a big playoff ad there. One of the best players in the National Hockey League. The only problem with Mikko Rantanen currently and why he was traded is he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, asking for $14 million AAV. So $14 million per year, which in hockey terms is essentially 60
It's a
million,
lot of money.
or in football terms is like Prescott's $60 million contract. Just for anyone out there, it would be, I believe, put him on par with the highest paid player in the NHL. They would both kick in at the same time. So $14 million is quite a lot in hockey terms. So to the Colorado side, what I just said, him making 14 million or him wanting $14 million a year, plus him being a free agent at the end of the season, is why they traded him. They traded him because one, they already are paying Nathan MacKinnon 12.6. Two, they're going to have to pay Cale Makar in 2026. And he's going to be making a metric shit ton of money. I'm talking like 15 million a year, probably. He's the best defenseman in the world and top at least 5, probably top 3, depending on how you rank things. But in that category of like the elite of the elite. So you're already having to pay some people pretty high numbers. You're getting a point per game player in Marty Necas for about 6.5 for the next 2 years. Drury is making 1.75 against the cap, and then the 2 picks. Again, something will happen with those later. I can damn near guarantee it. So, for the Avs, as an Avs fan, which me and Dallas are both Colorado Avalanche fans, I'm going to start with this.
Crying.
The more I look at it, the more I don't hate the trade. I loved Mikko Rantanen. I'll say that. He is a great player. Great. But the more I think about it, and the more I logic through it, letting him walk for free in free agency, if you couldn't get a deal done, if you couldn't, because really the Avs can't pay the $14 million. Like, they could. But then fielding or putting a team on the ice after that would get difficult. So is Mikko Rantanen worth the $14 million if it really fucks over the rest of the team? and possibly your ability to sign Cale Makar later down the road. So the way I looked at it was, would I rather pay Mikko Rantanen and possibly lose Makar, or lose Rantanen, pay Makar, and get two more people in that could really help the team? I'm picking that option because I think Cale Makar is a better player, and I don't want to lose Mikko Rantanen for free. That would be the worst case scenario. That would be on par with losing Lamar Jackson for free. Shitty situation. So for the Avs, the deal made some sense if you truly believed you couldn't get a deal done with him. It makes a ton of sense to at least cash in on the value now. I think the most interesting thing that's coming out of this is the Hurricanes aren't going to be able to sign him until later in the season. They don't have a deal done now, and I don't think they have the cap space to get it done until almost free agency starts. So there's still room for Mikko Rantanen to leave the Hurricanes, which for them is a scary thought because you've now given up quite a bit of capital, quite a bit of prospect, quite a bit of things to acquire him for him to only play half a season.
Yeah.
So there are still things to be worked out with this deal. As an Avs fan, sucks to see him go, but I do think this puts the team in a significantly better position, possibly now and moving forward, with the extra cap space they're getting, the cap space they'll get in 2025 without having to pay him, and then the things they got in the trade that they can then use to get other things in the building. So I do think overall there is no loser in this trade other than the fact that I
My
do.
soul, my heart and soul
Yes.
lost.
And you can make the argument that whoever trades the best player technically loses, but I just don't think that applies.
So here's the thing. I am pissed the fuck off about it. I'm
Okay.
pissed the fuck off. And every part of me hates every part of it.
Okay.
And I'm allowed to feel that way
You are.
because I'm a passionate fan. And I am passionate about the Avalanche. However, I also got on this podcast 2 weeks ago and recommended trading Jamar Chase
Yeah.
for this same reason.
Yes, you did.
Rantanen is a phenomenal player, and he does great things for the Avs. I, however, can say confidently, I do not believe championships are won and lost because of him. He is a big part of
Yes.
that team, and he will be missed. But with what this team needs and where it's headed and the financial aspect of it, I do understand. And while I know that Sakic is not the GM anymore, he's like, I
The
don't know, he's got
president
that
of
step
player.
above.
Yeah, it's like the executive or president.
The decisions that are made under Sakic's reign,
Yeah.
I have always had great respect for.
And
He has done great things. He has done things that have confused the fuck out of me and many fans, but they've turned out really well. Who am I to question that? And I do agree with you. Him walking away for free or putting the team in a situation where you can't pay Makar in a year is worse.
yeah.
So I fucking hate it. I despise it.
Yeah.
But
For me,
it was probably the right move.
I think the best part of this whole situation. Okay. I don't want to say that. There's some interesting things here. Because if you look at Ranson's stats with and without McKinnon, they are starkly opposite. Like, he's very good with McKinnon, still good, but not superstar level without him.
Yeah.
and you see pretty much anybody that's put with McKinnon reaches career-ish numbers.
Yeah.
So that's the other reason, like, getting who they got back, he's still a point per game player, but then you put him with McKinnon, how much of a boost
Will he get?
is he going to get with Marty Natchez is who I'm talking about here. So, like, stuff like that. And then the way I had to think about it was, would I rather have McKinnon and McCarr or McKinnon and Rantanen? And my answer was McKinnon and
McKinnon in the
McCarr.
car.
Because
Yeah.
McKinnon's top 2 in the league, McCarr's top 5. You can
Yeah.
argue where they're at within that realm, but they are. Like, McKinnon is...
The only person to potentially go up against McKinnon is McDavid.
Yeah, and I understand the
So,
argument for McDavid. He's incredible. I would, and personally, I think I would give the nudge to McKinnon purely because he's won the cup.
yeah.
McDavid has every other stat over him but the cup. So that is something there. And then, like, there's maybe one other guy, one or two other people I would put over Cale Makar in that third spot. There are arguments, but he fits in that realm.
Yeah, he's in that sphere. Yeah, no, I do agree. And I really thought about it because it's where I felt like Rantanen's impact truly was. It is in the playoffs. He is a big playoff guy. Like,
He is one of the best playoff. He is the
but
fourth best
and
playoff
he's like
performer since the cup, since they won the cup.
one of the best overtime guys in the NHL.
Yeah.
So if they can replenish that,
and we'll see.
and I think then they'll be fine. But yeah, I don't love it. I get it. I respect it.
The issue is
I agree that I prefer Makar being on the team than Rantanen. If that's the choice that has to be made.
And once again, I think I texted you this earlier, because he hasn't signed a contract with Carolina, and it doesn't sound like he will until, again, free agency starts.
There's technically a chance he could go back to the Avs.
He could pretty much decide that he hates Carolina and that he would rather go to the Avs for a pay cut because he loves the Avs. It's clear that he and McKinnon are like best friends. There's a lot with that, but we won't talk about that because that's just speculating, and that is a pipe dream. Don't get me wrong. Like,
he would have to take a massive pay cut. There's not even a pay cut. He would have to sign a deal for a lot less than he's technically worth.
Yes. Because there was a deal on the table. It has been reported that there was an $11.8 million AAV for 8 years on the table. He declined to sign that. I don't know where the negotiations went from there, but that was a deal that was on the table at one point. Where negotiations went, no one will know. No one will ever know other than his agent, him, and the general manager of the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Again, it is reported that he believes that he's worth $14 million. And I'm not saying he's not.
And by all accounts, he is. The Avs just can't afford $14 million.
But there's only one team in the NHL that pays 4 people over $10 million per year. And it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL. You have superstars. You are, like, technically, like, hockey,
the face,
like Canada's team.
Yeah.
You're like,
but you never win anything.
You haven't won in like 30 years. So we can't even say.
But every year is their year.
Yes, that's my point.
That is a great comparison. They really are the Cowboys of the NHL.
Oh,
that's
no,
a fantastic comparison.
That is the closest you can get to them. So yeah. So I understand looking at that situation and already going, well, we have to pay Makar at least over $10 million. We're already paying McKinnon over $10 million, and we're seeing how it's going over there in the shit show they're in.
Yeah.
And the cap is always going up. Like, that is something that's happening. So, could they have technically done it? Probably. But again, you are then putting the rest of the team,
In jeopardy.
not even like you're just not going to field, or not. Yeah, I'm just going to say field because I don't know what
Yeah.
the term for hockey would be. You're not going to field a quality lineup at that point.
Yeah.
And that's something that they have to live with. So they're going to have to replace him in the aggregate because there really is no replacing Mikko Rantanen. But we'll see what they end up doing. A lot of the NHL insiders have come out and been like, the Avalanche are not done making moves.
I believe that.
And by that, I think they mean they're making phone calls. Whether they make another one this year or not, we'll kind of see. But I do see another big move for the Avalanche coming at some point or another. They have $4.5 million in cap space now.
How much is Landia hit for? Do you know?
He'll hit for 7.5, I believe. 7.8, 7.5 to 7.8. I don't remember exactly where it is in that range. What I do know is they'd have to take two guys off the roster to bring him up. However, they should just wait till the playoffs.
I mean, yeah.
Like, because hockey has a fun cap. You can circumvent
It
cap
doesn't count.
really easily by just bringing it back for the playoffs because it doesn't count
Yeah.
towards your cap space. Teams get away with it all the time. This is not new. The Avalanche could just take full advantage of it.
I mean, I would.
Fuck it,
Other
yeah.
teams do it all the time.
Like,
And the Avs have been royally fucked by bullshit in the playoffs, so I would do it.
I would too, because
Fucking offsides. Toe as he's going to the bench.
it happens so much. Like the Vegas Golden Knights did it the year they won. The Lightning did it twice the years they won. It's a pretty common practice.
Yeah, like
So
that's the rule. They take advantage.
I don't blame any team for taking advantage of that rule. It's kind of shitty, especially if they're ready prior to the playoffs. I think that should be the rule. Is you have to start playing after a certain amount of time. Like once you start skating, there should be a rule that like once you've been medically cleared, you should have to come back.
Yeah.
But that's not the
Yeah,
rule.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be an adjustment to the rule. It's just that is the current rule.
Yeah. So that's been like the biggest thing in hockey right now. It is one of the biggest trades, in season trades ever. I think the only one bigger was when the MVP. So Joe Thornton won MVP the year he was traded mid-season. So that's kind of crazy. I didn't know
Yeah.
that happened, but that's one of the. But yeah, it is one of the single biggest in-season trades ever. It is one of the like fourth time a 50 goal scorer has been traded during a season. There's a lot to it, but again,
Sakic, man, just always beaten to the fucking beat of his own goddamn drum, and the rest of the world's just
hey,
like, what's happening?
but he's had success, so
Hello, Colorado Ave fans. I've hired Bednar. Who the fuck?
and it worked. Okay, he
I
is
am
now the
trading Grubauer. Why the fuck?
man. I don't know
I'm doing all these psycho things.
if this works out though. It's not
Oh my
Sakic.
god.
It's not Sakic anymore. That's the GM. It's Chris McFarland. He
It's
puts him,
his regime.
but
Like,
the award for best GM would technically go to Chris
yeah, it would go
McFarland,
to.
who really has Joe Sakic like sitting on his shoulder, telling him.
Yeah, like right there, going, this is what we're gonna do.
Like my guess is McFarland went to Sakic and was like, "This
We
is an
can't afford
option.
this. Yeah.
They're trading this," and Sakic's like, "All right, get this. Try to get that."
Yeah.
So, some fun times in the NHL. Hockey's been really popping off lately with this trade, so we'll keep you posted if anything else fun happens.
As football comes to its end, hockey will
Probably
come
take
more into the forefront.
Yeah, they'll
Of
probably
the
take
pod.
focus if we're being honest. But we'll see. So yeah,
So after that, it'll kind of be the three.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. Well, a lot of breaking news. A lot. It's a emotional roller coaster right now in the sports world.
I've tried to keep emotions out of this one. I have tried.
I
Trying
don't
to think
know.
about it logically.
It was a
It was
depressing
hard.
week.
It was
So
definitely in the
it was,
moment. I
and
was
you sent that to me, and
dude.
I spent like 5 minutes just trying to read it.
I
I
don't
was
remember
like,
what
I
I was
don't
doing.
understand what's happening.
I remember like I had just
And
finished
then you
homework.
called me, and I was still trying to be like, I don't understand.
I had just finished homework. I had Fellowship of the Ring on while I was doing homework. It's a 4 hour long movie. Fuck it.
No, that's fair.
Especially the
That's
extended
fair.
edition, which is the one I had on. 4 hour movie. I'm about halfway through it. So it's already getting sad. Because Boromir is dying. So Boromir is like getting ready to die. So I'm already like, well, this is mildly
You're
depressing.
already getting emotional.
So I'm checking Twitter to avoid looking at the screen. And all of a sudden I see like I sent her a screenshot of like the 4 tweets back to back that were
Yeah.
like, the Blackhawks are trading Taylor Hall. Now we're getting news that the Avalanche might be trading Mikko Rantanen to the Hurricanes. Sounds like the Avalanche are trading Mikko Rantanen to the Hurricanes. The Avalanche are trading Mikko Rantanen to the Hurricanes. And I was like, oh God. Why?
I was getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
I was like standing up to put the dogs out one more time and go to bed. And I got my phone goes off, and I'm like, that's weird. Look at it. I see just a bunch of like writing in white, and I'm like, I know this is like a tweet or a comment section of a tweet. My eye is trying to figure out what the fuck I'm looking for and looking at. And then I caught it, and I was like, I don't. That doesn't seem. That can't be real.
Oh, it 100% was. It 100%
And then
was.
yeah, you called, and I was like, I'm still trying to figure out what's happening.
Oh yeah, it was a rough day. It's definitely an interesting one. But
And then I texted someone. I was like, you get mad when we don't share sports news. So by the way, this happened. And they're like, what the fuck?
I also
I was like,
technically
don't have a ton of info yet, but
this happened.
this happened.
I told Dad like right after 2 because he called and I was like, so I don't think you heard, but this is happening. And he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that.
just kind of drop that bomb.
That's what it is. So yeah, huge trade.
It's crazy.
We'll see.
It's crazy. Good luck to the Avalanche, though. Rooting
Yeah,
for them.
good luck to the Hurricanes as well.
Yeah.
I'll still,
Good luck to Rantanen.
yeah. I mean,
Give a fuck about the Hurricanes.
I kind of want the Hurricanes to fail in the playoffs, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
But we'll see. No, I want them
Um,
to like fail epically because that'll help with the him coming back
how you feel
situation.
about that? That's fair. That's fair. It'd be like, fuck it, I'll take the pay cut. I just want to win.
Yeah, I want to win. I want to play with Nate. Let's do this. But
That's fair.
we'll see. We do have some more. We have breaking news for the Seahawks to talk about, so we can get to that. Or you have some stuff to the Ravens to talk about.
We'll just move on to the Ravens,
All right,
and then
to
we'll
the
do Seahawks.
Ravens.
Awesome. So Ravens news. Monken signed a contract extension this past week. Um, the reason I really bring that up because normally like a coordinator extension, you're like, who gives a fuck? Um, I didn't realize. I think we talked about it last week. John Harbaugh is going into the final year of his current contract.
Oh,
I thought about it,
oh.
and then I watched the Bills Chiefs game, and I thought about it some more, and I decided I will be upset if they let Harbaugh go.
Okay. I mean,
Here's
fair.
my
Yeah.
thing. I'm not saying he's the best coach out there.
He's up
I've
there.
watched this team draft a guy that everybody said should fuck off and play wide receiver. And he has turned him into, at minimum, a 2-time league MVP and a playoff contender. They usually at least win a playoff game, which is more than the fucking Steelers can say. So there's that. We're doing better than the Steelers. That's all that matters as a Ravens fan, honestly.
I was gonna say has to take a shot at the Steelers always. Always.
No one else, as shitty as it is, and I'm not like bowing down, I want to be super clear, but no one else is beating this fucking team. The little trio of Spagnuolo, Reed, and Mahomes is just like, you ever see those ads for games and they're like, the triangle is the most,
Oh yeah.
like, it's the best structure.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's the triangle that's just fuck you.
It also works
Just
out
fuck
because
you.
it plays into the dark magic.
Yeah. So I don't know that a different coach is going to fix that. It's going to help that.
I don't know.
I don't know that, like, at the end of the day, he's turned this team into what it is. But the players have to go out there and do it. And drop balls or fumbles and interceptions, that's not on him. He's been a great coach for this team. I think he will continue to be a great coach for this team. I have a hard time thinking you're going to bring somebody else in and it's going to make a massive difference. I also don't know a GM that goes, yeah, let's extend your offensive coordinator if I'm not planning on extending you. So,
Yeah, that would be a choice. That would be.
Because I sincerely doubt you're going to replace John Harbaugh with Todd Monken. I don't think that's going to.
No, probably not. At least Munkin has been getting head coaching offers from other teams.
That's fair.
You know, or at least been. I shouldn't say offers. Has been interviewed.
He's been interviewed. So I thought about it, and I'd love to know where this team goes. I think with Lamar, they always have a shot to be in the Super Bowl. I do think he'll win one, or at least, fuck, I really hope so.
Eventually.
I don't know that replacing Harbaugh is, I'm not going to say the right answer. I'm just not sure I see a point.
If it makes you
Like,
feel better, it took Manning like 7 years to win a Super Bowl. I think longer.
You think I don't hear about it all the fucking time? You would be wrong. Comes up a lot. The comparison is overwhelming.
Well, you know, if he
So
continues, that's 2 Super Bowls. That's all you can really ask for here, man.
I just don't. I
Granted,
don't know.
He would win another Super Bowl with a different team, but
How well, we don't have to do everything that they did. It's okay.
well, you know, if he wants to go somewhere
No.
else and win a Super Bowl, that would be a little funny.
I just don't know how you compete. It's hard to compete with the reigning dynasty. It is.
It's rough.
Like, it took Manning 7 years. He competed with Brady his entire career, and he has 2 Super Bowls to show for it. Like,
So
that's just a fact. I didn't love Brady. I didn't love the Patriots. I was a Broncos guy. I loved Manning. It was hard to do. It was hard to break through. Lamar is a great quarterback. Harbaugh's a great coach. It's going to be hard to break through.
that's been really the problem.
So, yeah, I thought about it, And I think with Monken's extension, I think it just signifies that Harbaugh's probably not going anywhere. The only time his job was truly on the line, they were a motherfucking mess.
Yeah. Well,
But that is why you now have Lamar Jackson quarterbacking the Baltimore Ravens.
yes.
Is he was like, if I'm gonna get fired, I'm gonna get fired with my guy playing quarterback. So fuck it, sit down, Flacco.
That
And that's
is
what happened.
has it worked out? I don't think it has, honestly. Flacco won a Super Bowl.
I mean, that's fair.
So for all intents and purposes, Flacco's better.
For all intents and purposes, Lamar has blown Flacco's career out of the motherfucking water, and that boy is bitter when he watches the Ravens play. He's like, yeah,
It's
it's
great.
fine. He's playing fine. It's okay.
It's funny.
So it just, yeah, I thought about it because we had talked about it. If I thought it would be beneficial, I don't know that it would. I wouldn't kill the decision. I
Yeah.
just don't know that I
It's
also see a purpose to it.
yeah. It that one's definitely just kind of wait and see what happens type
Like,
situation. Obviously, I think
I
that
would genuinely, and I think he will. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if that decision's made. I will loudly get up here and say Lamar made that decision.
yeah. Or
Lamar has
he was
extreme say in that organization.
he would at least be asked
So
about
I
it.
think
And
if that were to happen, Lamar gave the okay for it to happen.
that um
So
so there I don't think it'll happen, but
I don't think it will either.
and I do think he gets an extension now that Monken, or maybe not
Yeah.
like this
Maybe
year,
not
but
right now, either this year or next.
he
Um,
probably will get an extension just based on the fact that you gave Monken one.
yeah, that it'd be weird. It'd be weird not to.
Absolutely.
So, um, yeah. So that was Ravens news.
All right.
We
Well,
are obviously going into the off season with our eye on some key contract situations. Ronnie
mm-hmm,
Stanley
mm-hmm.
was on the final year of his deal. Marlon Humphrey was on the final year of his deal. Um,
See.
we shall see.
Yep, free agency will start before the draft, in like February. I don't know the exact date.
Anticipate looking at corner and guard. Unless they think Voorhees really does have that potential. He just needs more time after the knee surgery. But without that, it's
Looking
it's
likely.
guard and corner.
All right.
And then they'll tackle wide receiver because they can't fucking help themselves.
They'll get somebody. They always you can't have too many of them. It's just a fact.
And they have a
Um.
problem. They have a problem.
Well, the Seahawks also did something with their offensive coordinator. Uh, they hired one. The wait is over, Seahawks fans. The Seattle Seahawks have signed Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator. He was one of the first guys they interviewed in the process. Um, whether he was their top guy or not, no one really knows. No one will probably ever know. I do know they had 3 guys they interviewed twice, and some guys they interviewed once. So he definitely seemed like one of the top candidates. Whether he was the top or whether that was Hank Fraley in a combination, we don't really know. But he's definitely up there. I personally don't hate the hire.
Yeah.
Looking into it more, what he's done, I think it works out pretty well. He's from the Shanahan tree, so he coached under Kyle Shanahan and I believe Mike Shanahan for like a year. He's been in the league for
Long time.
longer than I thought.
Yeah. If you saw Mike Shanahan, you've been here a minute.
I'm not quite sure of that. He's been in the league for like 12 years.
Okay, so possibly.
That's why I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think he might have been. I know he worked with Kyle. He was the QB's coach under Kyle. So knows that system, knows that pretty well. Obviously, he also comes from the Gary Kubiak side. He is his son, so he's got that influence. Um, so he's pretty well connected within the NFL, coming from the Shanahan, and obviously his father being Gary Kubiak, has a lot of connections, can really fill out a staff, can really do stuff like that. And like I said, been around the league for 12 years, has had play calling experience most recently with the Saints this year. You might look at the Saints team this year and go, well, that wasn't successful.
That's not entirely his fault.
While they were healthy with everyone on their lineup, they scored 92 points in 3 games.
Yep, that
And
happened.
then Shaheed got hurt, Ramchick got hurt, their center got hurt, Olave got hurt, Carr got hurt. So that offense just kind of went to
And
shit.
Kamara was hurt at one point. They
Yeah.
fired a head coach. It just the Saints have more problems than
Than like the rest of the NFL
New
combined.
Orleans after a hurricane. Honestly, it's a train wreck. They've got cap issues and injury problems. They don't have a quarterback. It's not. You
They don't
can't
have a
blame
head
anybody
coach
but the
yet.
Saints. Yeah, you can't blame. Well, you
So
can. You could probably blame Sean Payton for the current state of the
you could absolutely you could play that
Saints.
regime.
Actually, that's possible. That's
Um, so yeah, he did have success for a limited time with the Saints, but it was still very successful when it was working
yeah,
and when he had the pieces. He was the QB coach in what's he calling plays? Either way, he was on the staff when Kirk Cousins had the best year of his career in Minnesota. So that's a big plus. He has been around with good quality success in terms of like what he's done. He
yeah,
has been a QB coach in a lot of his stops, which I think is very important. That means he should be able to scheme up so that it's easier for the quarterback. He makes a quarterback's life easier.
yeah,
You tend to see that with a coach that knows quarterbacking, that knows how to coach a quarterback. They tend to want to make their lives easier. So that should be helpful. We shouldn't see as much gun and like Geno Smith and shotgun, where protection needs to be on point because its offensive line is shit. We should see more play action. We should see a better run game. Overall, I think this is a huge improvement. And again, he's coming in with legitimate NFL experience. And I think that is the biggest plus to what Clint Kubiak brings. Considering that no one else they went out and interviewed had play calling experience. And he's still young. He is the same age as Mike McDonald. So he's 37. He'll be 38 by the time the season starts next. So still young, been around the league for a while. So there is possibilities that he could end up getting a head coaching role in the near future. We'll kind of wait and see. But he should be with the Seahawks for at least 2 years at this point, unless they decide to fire him. But barring
yeah.
that, this should be a longer term hire. So kind of waiting to see how he puts his staff together, who he brings with him, who he keeps, all that fun stuff. We won't know that for a little bit, but it's good to get a coach hired now, considering we have the East West Shrine Bowl going on and the Senior Bowl going on, both important scouting events.
Yeah.
I do know I've been seeing a lot of kind of highlights from that, kind of seeing what draft analysts are thinking. So there's definitely some talent, especially on that offensive line. So for Seahawks fans, that is great news considering how bad the offensive line is. And then so yeah, I personally like the hire. I think this should be an improvement upon what we had last year. How much? Kind of see. Obviously, coming from a Shanahan tree, brings very specific things with him. Is kind of nice. He did coach under Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, so he should be able to bring some insider intelligence to the Seahawks for their matchups. Should help Mike McDonald game plan for them better, especially because with that, his scheme is very similar to McVay's as well. A little bit different, but has some similarities. So overall, should be able to help with that as well. But
Yeah.
pretty good hire. Glad it happened now so they can get to scouting. And we'll kind of wait and see who he brings with them to fill out the staff. As I get names, we'll try to share them. Obviously, it'll be kind of difficult. Some teams don't announce a ton of that until it's finalized, and they really don't announce it because nobody cares.
Like, does anybody care?
Yeah. Like your offensive line coaches don't tend to get out, like stuff like that. So we'll kind of see what happens there. Look into free agency. Don't really know what we're looking for yet, other than we need offensive line help, and we need help in the maybe receiver room. We'll kind of see what happens with Tyler Lockett coming in the last year of his contract, and what else they do with that. But really, it's focused on offensive line, and that's pretty much it.
Nice.
So
I think it's a good hire. With all the experience he has, the experience play calling, and I think now that McDonald has a year under him, and he's probably finally got his flow down, and how he does know exactly how he wants his offense to look, and he has tapes. This is why it doesn't work this way. This is why I want it these ways.
And
so I think it's easier to make sure you get your guy and that you're on the same page.
Yeah.
After kind of the year they had.
And this is hopefully they like I said earlier, they didn't have a head coach at the point we are now, so they're already ahead of where they are last year.
They're way ahead.
Getting an offensive coordinator figured out prior to the all-star events for college is a big deal.
And now like your head coach and your GM will be on the same page with each other. They're going into free agency, going into the draft.
And like Schneider will have plenty to look at with like, we want offensive linemen that can do this. We want maybe we want another tight end, because I know Kubiak runs a lot of 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends on the field. So maybe getting another high quality tight end, or bringing back one that we already have on the roster, stuff like that. Getting a coordinator now is a real huge benefit. So love that.
I think it's a good move.
Hires, we'll see how the hire actually goes. So far, I'm a huge fan. I don't see any reason that this can't succeed. So it's going to be a wait and see game. Obviously, any coordinator can have a rough showing. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, now moving on to championship weekend. The AFC and NFC championship games were this weekend.
So we'll start with the NFC. I'll take that since I'm the resident NFC fan here.
Motherfucker.
It was between Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. This was played in Philadelphia. The final score was 55-23 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. My bad. 55-29. Philadelphia Eagles get the win.
23.
I looked at the wrong 20 score on the page. Where to even begin? We'll start on the Washington side. This is a young team. They are building towards something, and you can see it. Jayden Daniels had a great season, one of the best rookie seasons we've seen. Dan Campbell seems to be a great head coach. They have the right leadership in there. They have the right culture. Who did I say, Campbell again?
Yeah.
Dan
You're
Quinn.
crushing this.
Dude, it's because they're similar too. That's the problem.
I know, and they look similar too. Like, there's a lot happening there.
Thankfully, Dan Quinn's bald, so we get.
But he wears a hat, so sometimes it's hard to tell.
He does. Um,
It's the mustache really that gets it for me, and the glasses that I'm like, okay, you're not.
so Dan Quinn is building a pretty solid culture there. Obviously, they have Jane Daniels. I expect them to continue the success. Young team, they did great this season. Not taking anything away from them. This was a rough game for them. This is a division rival that kicked your ass.
Yeah,
Period. It was close for a little bit, but they kicked your ass. You had 4 turnovers. I believe that's what it was. That's not good enough.
yeah.
It might have been less. Oh, I can double check. Not good enough. Just period. Um, Again, young team, kind of expected. On the Eagles side, we'll start with some good win, great win. You dominated this game. You're going to the Super Bowl. Fantastic. Congrats to the Eagles. I do want to pose some questions here because I've seen a lot of this, and I've been
Do it.
very critical of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Um, that's kind of no surprise. I have been very critical of that since we started the pod, and I said I didn't believe Jalen Hurts could win you a Super Bowl,
yeah.
and I still stand by that. I don't think Jalen Hurts could win you a Super Bowl, but I do think Saquon Barkley can. So the question I'm going to pose is this team winning because of Jalen Hurts, in spite of Jalen Hurts, or neither?
So here's my problem. I'm not trying to circumvent your question. I am gonna answer it. Statistically, Jalen Hurts is one of the most winning quarterbacks in the NFL,
This is
at
why I
least
posed the
during
question.
his tenure.
This is why I posed the question.
I honestly,
Yeah, it.
I don't know. I I struggle because I'm with you. I have been very critical of Jalen. I think there's a clear lack of something when you watch him play quarterback. I'm just not sure what it is. He's
Yes.
mobile enough. He throws the ball well enough. He doesn't have the best decision making skills. I don't think he's the fastest processor, but he wins.
So what I'm gonna. So this is kind of what I wanted, by the way, and which is why I posed the either part or
Yeah,
neither, because I don't believe that they win because of Jalen Hurts, but I also don't
you
believe they
don't
win in spite of.
of
I
him
think
either. I
I think
don't think they win in spite of him.
no, but I do believe they don't win because of him either. I think that this is the best roster in the NFL. Take him aside. Put him aside.
Yeah.
This is the best roster in
It's
the
kind of
NFL.
like a Purdy 49ers thing. Like,
Best roster in the NFL. Great defense. Great offensive line. Great weapons. You have the best running back in the league right now.
yeah.
Your defense is stacked. So I don't think they win because of him. I think he does help. But I do believe that it is you could plug and play most quarterbacks into that system and they'd
And
have
they
the
would have
same
success.
success.
And I can't disagree with I cannot disagree with that.
But
I've not seen anything from Jalen that makes me sit here and go, only he can do this.
yes,
Like we've talked about extensively and we've talked about on here. The thing that sets the elite apart.
is what can they do that no one
They
else
do
can?
better than everybody. And Jalen doesn't have that thing. Now, if he wins a Super Bowl, where does that put him?
Higher. Fundamentally, it does. Because
Does it put him in the top 5?
it depends on how they win, for me. If he goes out there and gets in a shootout with Mahomes and wins that way, it moves him up higher. I don't think he'll ever be in the top 5 conversation, but I do think it puts him more solidified. Maybe at the bottom end of the top 5 in that 5, 6, 7 range.
Gotcha.
If he wins this on the back of Saquon, it still puts him in the top
Probably in the
10-ish,
10.
like the 8 through 12 range.
Fair.
Quarterbacks fluctuate a lot, so I'm not giving you
Yeah,
he's 8th.
he's here.
He's in that box. So that's where I'm at. And then for the Eagles, Saquon Barkley is insane.
Can you imagine being a Giants fan right now? That's crazy.
So
That's a fucking living nightmare.
I was thinking about this prior to the podcast. I think I was thinking about this last night. If I was Mara, the owner of the Giants, I
Yeah.
am regretting everything I said prior to the playoffs starting.
Yep.
And guaranteeing Joe Shaton his job going into next year. After watching what's happening right now, I'm sitting there going, "You're fired. Get the fuck out." Just
purely on rage because of what's happening in Philly.
oh yeah.
No, that's
it's
insane. It's insane.
There's no other.
I'd have to fire him. I'd have to.
Watching what Saquon Barkley's doing is just otherworldly. He had 3 touchdowns in this game. I think a long of 60 on the first play of the game for the Eagles. He has, I don't remember the exact stat, but he has the most 50-yard rushes of any player in the league. And I think it's above 30% of the total 50-yard rushing touchdowns in the league. It might be even higher than that. I don't know the exact stat, and I'm not going to go find it. But he is playing on a unreal level. And in the playoffs, it just seemed to got better.
He is clearly playing for something. We talked about when we were having the kind of Ravens, if it were Ravens Lions. I'm not sure there's anybody
who's
on
willing
the Eagles that wants it more.
Because he's
he is willing himself and that team forward.
Do I think that the Eagles can win the Super Bowl? Yes. Will it be on the back of Saquon Barkley? Probably.
A good chance of that. And the defense. The defense is going to have to show up.
Yes. But I think Saquon Barkley is one of the biggest contributors to their success here.
My thoughts on this game. Really quickly.
Go ahead.
I think Washington should be very proud of themselves.
Absolutely.
That team was a laughingstock a year ago.
That's kind of what I meant when I was talking about them.
Yeah.
But I never actually said it.
It's cool. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
It's just true.
It's a fact.
Your owner, everything you've done. You've been trying to get quarterback right since Kirk Cousins and RG3. It's all been a train. They've done nothing right. To get this guy in this moment, to get Jaden, in this moment, to reset your ownership group, your head coach, your quarterback, and to come out swinging like this, I mean, that's nothing but pride. I'm sure the box score was hard to stomach. But they're such a young team. They will get better.
Yeah.
I do think, I want to say this, and I want to say it now.
Okay.
we still have to temper expectations.
Yeah.
It is easy to see a great rookie season and go, they're going to be in the Super Bowl next year. Let's calm the fuck down.
We thought the same thing about CJ Stroud last year.
All teams, no team is the same from year to year.
Yes.
Much like the Texans went from the hunter to the hunted,
The
the
same is going to happen.
Commanders will do the same.
Now, they're lucky because they didn't win their division. That's the one
Yeah,
thing
so
they
they're
have
not
going.
going to get as hard of a schedule.
They're not getting the best.
But you play in a difficult division.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't like a slight, but one of the things that makes Lamar Jackson, for all the comparisons between him and Jaden, is he is hard to plan against defensively. We're going to find out if Jaden is the same. I'm not saying this game is indicative of that. It's not. Lamar loses too. That happens. It's, are you the kind of guy that you're really hard to defend against and you're hard to come up with a plan against?
Because
And we don't know just yet. Now we have a year of film on you. Now we know what this team is capable of, and we know you're not a joke, and we have to take you seriously.
Mhm.
So if they take a step back next year, that does not mean this team is not making progress. They did really great things this year. I'm very happy for them. It's been incredible to watch. If you're genuinely a football fan, it's incredible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just temper expectations.
Yeah.
As for Philly, as Mara, I'm firing somebody and I'm suing Hard Knocks. I don't know. The fact that conversation is out there on the internet, I could pull it up right now and watch Joe Shane go, we're not paying a bunch of money for someone to turn around and hand the ball off to a $12 million running back. That $12 million running back is running his way to the Super Bowl. Y'all are fucked. So I would be firing somebody out of pure rage.
I would want to fire Shane, but you already said that you're keeping him. So
it's just insane. I will say this. If you had asked me of all the Super Bowl combinations I did not want to see this year,
this is like number one.
This would have been the top of the list.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason
this is technically number
I
two
have a dog in the fight is I want this for Saquon. Other than that, I could not give a fuck.
Nope. Don't care. Just
like
flat
at all.
Out.
I really don't want the Chiefs to get it. I really don't want the Chiefs to get it.
No, I can't.
Don't give a fuck.
Like,
doesn't matter.
This technically would be my second least favorite option.
What was your first?
The first, are we talking entering the season or entering the playoffs? Because if this was entering the playoffs, it's this one. Entering the season, it would have been Chiefs 49ers.
That's fair. Because that was last year's. So that's fair. Anything we saw in the last couple, I would have been okay with Chiefs Bucks maybe because now it's Baker.
Fair, yeah.
But
yeah,
I still have questions. I don't have questions. I still have doubts and reservations about Jalen.
I do too. But
this team, I think they're similar to what everybody has questions and doubts about Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do without the best of the best. You've always had one of the best O-lines. You've always had a good running back. You've always had great weapons.
Like,
You've always had a good defense. What can you do without that?
and I
I
think
don't know.
it.
And
I
I
don't know.
don't think he processes well.
I don't think
And I think there's clear proof of that.
I don't think we'll ever know. Purely because I don't think he'll go anywhere else for us to find out.
No. And the Eagles are really good at building a team. That's what.
Their GM is
He's
incredible.
a genius. So I have doubts, but I do think this team has the ability to win a Super Bowl. No, I would not sit here and say it's because of him.
I do think
I
they
also
have
would not say it's in spite of him.
Hey, at this point, it's 50-50. You got
Yeah,
one game. You could do anything. But again, I don't think it's because of him or in spite of him.
No.
If they win,
I agree.
they'll win for other reasons.
It's probably because of Saquon and the defense.
Yeah, or at least the defense.
Yeah.
But
alrighty. Well, moving on to KC versus Buffalo. In Buffalo, in Arrowhead, Kansas City wins.
In Buffalo,
32,
in Arrowhead?
Yeah. No. In Kansas City, in Arrowhead.
There you go.
Kansas City gets the win, 32-29. Once again, I will say, the refs are not perfect.
No.
I believe there should be serious changes made to determining a first down. I watched two refs have completely different opinions on where to spot that ball, walk from the sideline, have to walk around players, move themselves as they did it, and then pick a spot.
What I don't
Here's
understand.
my thing.
I'll let you.
Go ahead.
What
go
I
ahead.
don't understand is how tennis, soccer, volleyball, all these sports that bring in fractions of what the NFL does, all have.
Yeah.
So soccer has goal line technology to know if the ball passed the goal line. Tennis has technology that can tell you if the ball was out. Volleyball has the same technology that can tell you if the ball was out.
So the argument I will make for that is everything you just said are fixed points.
Here's the thing.
The goal line in soccer doesn't move. Out of bounds in tennis and in volleyball doesn't move.
Here's the thing. I can tell you how you
first
do
down
it very
marker
easily.
Moves.
It does. But here's the thing. There are ways to do it still.
I'm not arguing the point. I think real money should be put into that. The fact that we are still using the same system that we've been using for 100 years is insane.
You technically don't even have to get rid of the chain. You can still have it for
ceremonial purposes.
Yeah. Because what I'm proposing you do is, the chain is always in technically their right spot as the first down.
Yeah.
All you need is a camera down the line or a sensor down the line of the chain. And then you can have, normally it's a microchip in the ball. You can also do other ways. Like there are cameras you can have. It's very complicated. But there are ways to do it with sensors, with...
Completely agree with you. Completely.
So,
here's my thing.
Let's figure it out.
Whether you think he crossed the goal line or not. I think the real problem, and to me, it's a McDermott thing.
He did it twice. What's worse is they did it twice on the same drive.
Is the the play before that, McDermott should have thrown the challenge flag.
Yes, he should
have.
They
spotted the ball wrong the first time. He made the play. From one angle, it kind of looks like he makes it. From one, it kind of looks like he doesn't. I get it. Fine, fuck it.
But throw the
Here's
flag.
my problem. One, McDermott is not good in end of game situations. You were at you had time. You could have thrown the challenge flag.
Oh, yeah. You had a timeout,
I
too.
believe there were things the refs did throughout that game that potentially made an impact. I'm not convinced that Worthy's catch was a catch. Patrick Mahomes was allowed to take a delay of game going into the 2-minute warning, and we just said, fuck it. Not sure what happened there. I saw that box hit red and 1 second come off the play clock.
So one thing I will say, because this does come up a lot, what's on TV, the play clock on TV,
they're not 100%
is not
like
always
inline and
synced
perfect.
up with what's
Yeah.
on the field.
But I still watched it happen, and it doesn't help the narrative.
Yes.
Here's my problem. At the end of the day, though, you lost that ball 4 times. You had multiple passes that should have been interceptions. You had multiple fumbles that you were lucky enough to recover. At the end of the day, though, the Bills did not play their best football. So I can sit here and go, it's the fucking refs. And I promise, the first time I see a team play great football and execute great football and then get fucked by the refs, I will yell.
Yeah.
I have yet to see that happen. I know the Chiefs, everyone wants to give the Chiefs shit. Statistically, they don't draw nearly the calls people think they do, so that's one. 2, the Chiefs play good football. I don't like some of the things Mahomes does. I don't like some of the things that team gets away with. Every team gets away with holding calls. Every team gets away with PI. It's not a Chiefs thing. It's an NFL thing. Until a team plays perfect football, and then I sit there and go, you know what, the refs fucked that one up, I'll yell. That's not what happened. Maybe you disagree with the spot. Maybe you think I think McDermott should have thrown a challenge flag on the play before it. The refs are but you didn't play good football. You didn't play clean football.
And the refs are gonna impact the game, no matter regardless. It's just how it's set up. They're gonna call penalties. They're gonna do things. Refs
they're gonna
impact the game. Should they have made those calls? Sure. Were they wrong? Sure. But at the end of the day,
is that why they lost? Probably not.
Now,
I will say, Ravens fans starting a donation for Dalton Kincaid's charity.
Hey, you know, at least it's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a little petty. It's like 10 out of 10.
But again, if you're gonna be petty,
it's a good thing.
Be petty the right way.
But I watched you. I watched you go out there and stall on multiple drives. I watched them know you were going to run to the left and be able to jump the line. At no point did we consider changing our snap count to try and get that Chiefs to jump off sides. We just kept doing the same thing over and over again. There were multiple things the Bills could have and should have done. But, just like with the Ravens, it is hard to beat the dynasty. That's hard to compete with. That's who this team is right now. They showed you the same defense the whole game. And then when you had to have it, here comes a corner blitz out of fucking nowhere. Like, that's what this team does. That's what Spagnuolo does. That's what Andy Reid does. And that's what the dickhead Patrick Mahomes does. That's what they do. That's why they win.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame the refs. I'm certainly not going to blame Dalton Kincaid. It's a bummer. It's definitely not the outcome I wanted. Because now I sit here even more and gone, this is why the Ravens should have taken a crack at it. Not saying it would have gone better, but fuck, if you're going to take out the Ravens, at least take out the Chiefs too.
Yeah, do us a favor, man. Come on.
Yeah, like, fucking help everybody.
But,
so, wild disappointment.
Yeah. I think...
And then, yeah, like, you still had a chance, by the way, after the fucked up, did he get it, did he not first down, all you had to do
was march down the field.
Was not let them get the first down.
Yeah.
And you would have gotten the ball back with plenty of time left
to at least kick
to get a field goal. And then, you couldn't do that.
And then go to overtime, in which you caused the rule changes to begin with, and going to...
Yeah, like, here's my thing. The relationship everyone thinks the Chiefs have with the NFL and the refs is actually the relationship the Bills and Josh Allen have. I believe Josh Allen has the most roughing the passer calls. Because of Josh Allen, the rules for overtime were changed.
To be fair, I don't think that was entirely just Josh Allen, but yes, technically it was because of that game.
This game happened, we changed the rule.
But it happened slightly differently, but yes. Like,
so
that rule needed changes regardless. It just, that game...
I don't disagree.
Made it more
the
clear.
Relationship you think happens or exists over here actually exists somewhere else. It just doesn't work out for them.
And yet, see, the problem is the NFL just keeps fueling the fire of the Chiefs, like, conspiracy theories with outcomes like this. I'm not saying that it's true, but seriously, you missed the same call twice in terms of, like, first down. Again, it happens, but, like,
I think the first one was a fuck up.
I think he gets it the second time.
The second one, I'm not sure that he does.
I think that ball does cross the line. Like, it looks like...
I think that first spot should have been different. I think that changes
That's
everything.
the real fuck up. Like, the second one's close. I do think he gets it, but it's close. The first one, that's a fuck up.
That's a fuck up.
But at the same time, like, I'm just saying, with every result that goes this way,
no, and
the theories are just going to keep going.
No, and I agree with you. I also think, here's my thing. I think it was a lot easier to hate the Patriots.
Okay.
You had Spygate and Deflategate. And
you had
Brady's a bitch. And Belichick's an asshole.
You had legitimate...
on the podium. We're on to Cincinnati. And Brady's crying on the sideline. And you're like, bitch, you make millions of dollars and you've won multiple Super Bowls. Can you buck the fuck up? Like, they were easy to hate. The Chiefs, you have to, like, work to hate them. Right? Because you got Taylor Swift and the podcast, and the Kelsey brothers are a lot of fun, and they're this small market team, and they do every fucking commercial, and they're likable. So you're like, what? It's our right
to hate you.
But we don't have reasons. So every time the refs get it wrong, do it differently than we would, I think that's what's become the fuel for the hatred.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else.
No, there really is.
Like,
there is other stuff, but
nothing that takes center stage.
No.
Like, if that's your stuff, you're a you're a petty asshole. That's what that is.
Well, I mean, that's a
But
petty
like,
team over there, man. That's a petty team. Did you see what they
well,
did? Did you see what they
they
did?
find reasons.
Did you
They
no,
find
did
their
did you actually see
no,
what? So
no.
they when they post their post game press conference,
Uh-huh.
every single one of them was cut out at 3 minutes and 33 seconds, no matter what was
Well,
going on, because of what happened.
yeah. Well, that's
No, it's petty. It's petty.
here's my thing. It's petty. When you're in the midst of a dynasty, you gotta find fuel to keep winning.
I was like, when you win, you can be petty.
Yeah,
I'm just
like,
saying that they are petty.
but I just do. I think they're a hard team to hate the way we're used to hating the dynasty. The Patriots were
Sure.
easy to hate.
I'm.
The Patriots were
There's two
they
reasons to
were
hate the
easy
Chiefs.
to root against. Root against.
There's two reasons to hate the Chiefs, and it's that they're a dynasty and the refs. Like currently,
Yeah.
what we
So I
imagine
think we
what's going
we
on with the refs.
latch on to some of the other things that
Yes.
at the end of the day happen all the time
Mm-hmm.
with other teams, every team. I think McDermott kind of fucked up. I think they didn't adapt well enough, quick enough, and you made too many mistakes.
Yeah, there were reasons the Bills lost. I'm not like
Like,
there are just reasons the
so,
Bills lost.
and it sucked, and the Ravens should have been able to take crack at it. That's fine. And yeah, Ravens
Well,
fans have started.
the Ravens lost.
Well, it's because the refs.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the 3 turnovers
uh,
or two
no,
turnovers.
nope.
It was only two.
It was
No,
the
it was three.
refs.
It was three. I was right the first
Was
time.
three. Yep.
I was forgetting about Mark Andrews for a second there,
But yeah, they did.
which can't really forget about him. But it's fine.
Ravens fans have started a collection for Dalton
Hey,
Kincaid's charity.
you know,
So
pay
paying
it
it
forward.
forward.
That's what. Yeah. There are worse things to do. Okay, there are worse things to do. Well,
Alrighty, well now that championship weekend is over, obviously that does set the Super Bowl
mm-hmm.
for Kansas City and Philadelphia on February 9th in New Orleans at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time,
Yes,
6:30 p.m. Eastern time.
yes, indeed.
With Kendrick Lamar as the halftime show.
Mm-hmm. That is all
So,
correct. Um,
any initial thoughts? Obviously, we will have at least one more show between now and then.
yeah, we'll probably break down the game and actual like break down the preview for the game in that next episode.
Yeah.
Um, initial thoughts. I don't really have any right now. Like
Okay.
that aren't different from what we've kind of said about each team. Like the Chiefs find ways to win. That does benefit them. The Eagles have Saquon Barkley. I think my first initial thought, and I had this thought, is these two teams aren't that much different than they were in 2022.
Okay.
That was yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2022. They're not that much different. There are some key differences, but overall, at the base, they're not
Their
that much different.
fundamental makeup is not that much different.
The biggest differences are key players. So now Saquon Barkley is on the Eagles. They didn't have him. They didn't have a running back of that caliber. That's
Yeah.
a huge difference, especially with the way Saquon Barkley's playing. On the Chiefs side, and then on the Eagles side, keep going. They don't have Jason Kelsey. That could make a difference. That is a key aspect to their offensive line.
And
It's
they've
been
had struggles at center.
it's been
They've had
functioning,
injuries.
so maybe that could be something. But other than that, that team is still relatively the same. On the Chiefs side, they don't have Tyreek Hill, who I believe they had in that game. I cannot remember if that was before or after he left.
Uh, After?
I think it was after. I can't remember. Either way, we'll just assume he left before that game. I don't know. I can't assume that.
How many years has he been with the Dolphins?
That's the issue. I don't feel like it's been that many.
It's at least 2.
He joined the Dolphins in 2022.
So he was not there for that one.
He's won 1 Super Bowl.
Okay, so yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay. So never mind. So key pieces for the Chiefs missing is L'Jarius Sneed because he was with the team.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's about it. They didn't have Tyreek Hill when they beat them. So really, it's L'Jarius Sneed on that
This
defense.
is what I will say. If the Eagles win, I'm not sure that it's like a player addition. It's maturity. A lot of that team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, was very young in 2022. And they're still young, but they have gotten better. They don't have nearly the penalty problem they had. They just stay a little cooler, a little calmer, more collected.
Yes.
I think for better or worse, while we saw it in Washington game, because of Saquon Barkley, their defense has seen the field a lot. Drives have been ended quickly because of Saquon. So they've kind of built up a stamina. They figured out their rotations really well. I think if they can win this game, it's going to be because of the mental and physical growth rather than
Fair
key
enough.
players that have been added or subtracted.
Nope. I think it's going to be because of Saquon Barkley if they win this game. That's pretty much
That's
how
fair.
my
I
initial
mean,
thoughts are lining up.
that's fair. That's fair. I do think he's a fundamental part of it.
Because they were close to beating the Chiefs the first time. And I think with a player like Saquon Barkley, they might have been able to. So that's my thought process.
And that's
And
fair.
why I
I
say,
think they just needed a slightly better defense as well to get over the hump.
well, in theory, they wouldn't have needed a defense if they had a running back that could run well. Because that was part of the problem, is they gave the
In
Chiefs the ball
theory,
back with time on the clock.
the holding call was a problem.
Well, my argument is the Chiefs shouldn't even had the ball in that situation if the Eagles had a better running back.
Okay, well, I suppose that's an argument. That's an argument.
But we're cutting
Yeah, we're arguing semantics and technicalities.
and ifs and like it's stupid. Um, but yes, that is my opinion. So we'll see. Um, we'll watch the Super Bowl.
Unfortunately,
Possibly.
I will watch it. Whether or not I watch it in real time, we'll see.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
Um,
Like
I
I'll
may go
watch it,
back.
but um, I don't really feel like watching that live, especially if it's gonna be like that. We'll see. If I'm
Yeah,
not doing anything
like
that Sunday, then I'll probably watch it live. But
I just may take a nap. Because honestly,
all
I
right,
have to work that morning. Go home, take a nap, wake up,
that's an option.
check the score,
Yeah,
see what happened.
that's probably what I'll be doing is checking the score and then
Yeah,
watch the highlights or the replay. But we still got a week, so we'll definitely dive more into the game next
we
week
do have
and kind of
a
what we
week.
actually think will happen once we learn injury status, what's happening with
Yeah,
players, what's going on there, see if there's anything like that that needs focus. But yeah, so we do have 2 weeks, so get ready.
and next week we'll start getting into what the podcast is going to look like moving forward
Yep.
without football.
Yes, indeed.
Um, Obviously, Brennan and I have some ideas and some plans that we're excited to roll out, and hopefully, you guys are too.
But
And yeah, we'll keep it rolling. We'll start getting into more basketball, more hockey.
if you have any suggestions on things we can
Yeah,
do,
things you guys want to hear about, things
leave them
you
in the
guys want
comment.
to, um,
If it's
want us to talk about. We're here for it.
specific teams, sports, whatever it may be,
We'll
we can
probably start talking about free agency, the draft coming up,
pretty soon. Probably once the Super
what
Bowl's over, really
the
delve in.
major challenges facing the new head coaches are going to be. We're going to get into all of it.
Yeah. So, well, should be fun. Should be entertaining. Um, we'll keep it up
Yeah.
for y'all. So, just because football's ending does not mean this is going away. So,
Nope.
we will definitely keep it up. So, thanks y'all for joining us. I
Heck
think
yeah.
all that being said, I think that does it for us this week. Unless you have any other
I do
thoughts.
not.
Uh,
I We spent a lot of time talking about all the new head coaching.
yeah. So
So,
that does it for us today. Make sure like, subscribe, comment. Like we said, got any suggestions for the channel and its future? Leave them down below. Give us a Super Bowl picks. Who you got? Chiefs, Eagles. If you want to wait a week, that's fine. But if you want to jump the gun, let us know uh, who you got and where you see and what you see the Super Bowl. So, um, thank y'all for watching. I've been Brendan.
and I'm in Dallas.
Thank y'all.
Bye.